Today, we're going to learn about variables, the different types in Python, and the input command. Let's first learn about types. All values in Python have a specific type. There are two number types in Python. The first is int, short for integer. An integer is a positive or negative whole number. These are a few examples. When you need to hold decimals, you use float. Float is short for floating point number. These numbers can be as big or as small as you want. You can even use scientific notation. str means string. We used this in the last video. Strings hold text, so letters, characters, and numbers. The quotes signify the beginning and end of the string, and you can use single or double quotes. Here I use double quotes because I used an apostrophe inside. Bool is for Boolean. It holds a truth value, so either true or false. Type those in with capital first letters. We'll learn how to properly use Booleans later on. There's also this special type that holds complex numbers, but we won't use this in the Intro to Coding course. Those are all of the types built into Python. We'll learn about the different ways you can manipulate those types and why you would want to use them in the next video. For now, let's learn about variables. Variables, just like in math, store values in a program, any value. In every computer, there's a place called the memory, or RAM. When you store things in a program, they're stored in your computer's memory, and they'll stay there until your program comes to a stop or your computer turns off. There are three main things you can do with variables: define, assign, and recall. You define a variable by first typing in the name you want to give it. By Python convention, variables are named after what they hold, are written in lowercase, and use underscores instead of spaces. In general, don't use numbers or special characters either. After typing the name, put an equal sign after it, and then the value you want to store. You won't see anything, but if we run this program, that value will be stored in memory. Cool. So, how do we get that value? Just substitute where you would place that value in your program with the variable name. Let's try it with a print. As you can see, the variable was stored and then recalled from memory. Down the line, you might want to change the value of a certain variable, and that looks exactly like defining one. The third line changed the value of my age, and you can see that here. But why do we want to use variables in the first place? Well, they can be used to make one specific program work with lots of different types of data. Let's look at an example. We haven't learned about operations yet, but you can probably guess what this does. It takes the stored value, adds a number to it, and then stores that back in the memory. As a result, the starting number is increased by 10. If I change 16 to 30 and then run the program again, the entire output changes, and I only had to change one value. Awesome. So now we know how to define, assign, and recall variables. Let's finish up with the input command. Input lets you type something in your program so you don't have to change the program every time you run it. This command will return whatever the user types in, and it'll always be a string. When I run this program, it'll wait for me to type something in, and when I hit enter, the program comes to a stop. You can also give the input command a prompt to ask the user of your program. Here's a basic example. This program created a variable called name, waited for me to type something in, and then stored it inside of that variable. It then added the string to make a bigger string and printed it out. Cool. This command will help us out a lot when writing new programs. So go ahead and try it out for yourself, and play around with variables too. In the next video, we'll learn about operations you can do on values, and a little more about types. Alrighty, Code Dog out.